And we welcome you to No One Succeeds Alone. Here it's Monday night, getting toward the end of the month. And we're excited because on the 3rd, that's a week from this Thursday, we start our first DLI class, first course, our launching endeavor, and it looks like it's going to be a screaming success. God's been so good to us. You still have time to enroll if you'd like. In fact, you can go on over, the address is on the chat area there on the side of the screen. You can go there and enroll at any time, and you still have time to get in on that first class. You'll have to get your books pretty quick, but that can be done for sure. But we'd sure welcome you there. Love to have you. I'll be teaching the first course, Leading with Purpose. It's going to be a great time. I always loved teaching, and I love teaching within the structure of a college and institute, things like that, because people there are hungry to know, they want to know, and we're able to share some things. We'll have some things to discuss, some questions, be some homework. And we've advertised this pretty heavy as it's not a glorified Bible study. So this will be a college level course, and you will gain much from it. Exactly. We've got a discount price actually for you coming in on the first one. We've really cut these things. In fact, I think we've discounted the course 67%, I believe, is the discounted area. But we'd love to have you. So come on, join us along the way, and let's have a great time. Hope you had a great weekend. We did. Watched the service online. COVID has crept in and made havoc of most areas of the United States, but so far our home has stayed reasonably clear. We've had a couple of little hiccups here and there, but nothing of significance. God's been good. We have a lot of folks we're praying for. Perhaps you as well know people that you're praying for. We want to keep you in mind that prayer does make a difference, and it's time that we indeed begin to pray and talk to God about the needs of our life. This evening, I want to talk to you about something that everyone wants to know about, no one wants to experience. You never want to go through the life experience to achieve what's spoken about in the book of James, chapter 1. Talks about fiery trials and strange things come upon us and things of this nature. But James chapter 1, verse 2 to 4, let me read it this way. And don't give up, my brethren, James records. Count it all joy when you fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. There's that dreaded word. But let patience have her perfect work. I don't know why it's gender specific here, letting her have her perfect work. I'll leave that to the theologians. That ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. That's an assimilation of words that simply mean this will help you to mature, become a grown up Christian, be a mature Christian. Perfect does not mean without flaw. It means to be mature, to be full grown in the sense of growing and genetics. So we've read it that way. Now let's talk about faith being under pressure, because we're actually talking about the subject, how to hang in there. I can remember years in ministry in the earlier days where I would call the headquarters and tell them my woes and troubles, and their great advice would come out of all these wisdom of great men of God. They would say, hang in there. And I got so tired of hanging in there, I just sometimes wanted to take hostages. But that's not necessary anymore. We want to know how to hang in there, and here is a way that we can hang in there. It's kind of flippantly said, and we kind of smile when we say it, but when all hell is breaking loose against you, it's not funny at all, and there's no smiles, and you just kind of grab whatever you can that's solid and hold on and hope it passes by pretty quickly. But here's another rendering of James chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. This, of course, is the Message Bible. Don't think we'd have one of these videos if we didn't have some quote from the Message Bible. But let's listen to what the Message Bible says. Consider the sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. Yeah, that's the gift that sometimes keeps on giving. All right, back to the text. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well developed, not deficient in any way. There seems to be an inclination that one can abort the process and yet have deficiencies in their life because of not letting patience have her perfect work or full work in a trial or in a testing situation. Now, these are some alarming things that I'm going to say, and you just consider them, pray about them. I'm not going to just tell you that you're absolutely wrong if you don't do it this way, but I am suggesting that this is a better way to reap the benefits of patience if you understand what's going on with your faith life and why there is longevity to some of these trials. We just, we label it a devil attack or demonic attack, and we go on about our business and trust God to set us free. That may be true in some cases. In other cases, we may need to see some other things in this, because part of the processes God has us grow through has some difficult moments in the process, and rather than aborting the process or exiting the process prematurely, we are to allow the process to complete its work, because what is uncomfortable today may ultimately bring greater comfort down the road and leave us not deficient in any area. Because though all this is not a punishment, it is a preparation. It's not God's mad at you is the reason you're going through these things. It's God believes in you, and you're having an example now to exhibit your faith in front of the powers of darkness, that what you believe, you are steadfastly believing, you are not moving away from it, and God is going to give you a victory in it. It's almost like a training for a marathon or a training for a main event of some kind. You go through the rigors of training, you hurt, you're tired, you're weary. The temptation to quit is sometimes ever present. Injuries happen sometimes along the path. Sometimes you postpone some things. Sometimes you double up on some things. But the sum total of the training is to prepare you for something significant that's coming into your life. I'm going to suggest to you tonight that we take a reframing of some of the trials that are coming into our life. Instead of just hanging the demonic tag on it or the devil tag on it, let's not identify it as that right away. Let's take another look at it and say, is this something that's going to strengthen or test my faith in some way, in somehow? This is faith under pressure, is producing patience. When allowed to have her perfect work, we become mature, perfect, and entire, or fully grown, fully developed, lacking nothing. It doesn't mean we're self-sufficient. It means that we lack nothing that we will need in our God assignment on this earth. Okay, no matter where you live, no matter what you're facing, remember, it's essential to have the right attitude toward every high pressure situation. Every high pressure situation, have the right attitude. In fact, the early church, I learned in my studies, called patience the queen of all virtues. Oh, that's a nice name. The queen of all virtues. Patience. Yeah, I don't know if that's synonymous or not, but the early church had some trail on it. They believed that indeed it was the queen of all virtues, unless they would not have called it that. Patience means three things. One is to remain in one's spot. Okay, we're going to just kind of put three labels on patience. Patience means I'm not moving. I'm staying in my spot. In other words, I'm standing where I need to stand. I've drawn my line in the sand, and this is where I'm standing. I'm not moving from this. Now, it does not mean our life is not moving forward. It means I'm not moving my belief system off this promise of God. I'm not going to change this promise for another promise because this one seems slow to manifest. I'm not going to shift here, shift there. I'm not going to believe one thing one day and another thing the other day. I'm going to hold my ground. I'm going to remain in my spot. Second thing is to keep a position. I'm going to stand in my spot. I'm going to hold my position. I'm not going to be, and these are similar. They're closely identified. I'm standing, I'm keeping this position, and I'm going to resolve to maintain some territory that I have gained. I'm not going back. I'm locked into this. I'm in this process. I'm not going to abort this process. I'm going to walk through this process. I'm going to put my faith around the promise of God. And what it's going to build in me is a patience, but it's going to put my faith on display, not as a pride issue, but as a confidence issue in front of the powers of darkness to let all hell know, I'm not moving from this position. I've gained some ground. I'm growing in the Lord, and I'm not moving from this, not whatsoever. I'm not cutting and running. I'm not jumping out of the process. I'm not quitting. It's the state of mind that says, this is my spot, and I'm not moving. I will not be dislodged from my belief in what God's word says. I'm not going to believe it one day, say something the next. I'm not going to counteract it with how I act, how I believe. I'm not going to have great faith one day and doubt the next day. I'm going to lock into this. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to endure. Okay, endurance is a word that's going to come along the way in this conversation this evening. I'm going to endure. In the military, the sense of this is my spot, the sense of what patience mean is I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to defend it. I'm going to defend what's been gained. And in our lives, if we've gained some strength in prior encounters, then we're not going to give that strength up. I can remember hearing people say, I used to be able to do this, this, and this, but I can't do that anymore. Yes, you can. You've given up some ground that you once owned. You once claimed it in the name of Jesus. You once stood on that ground. Let's move back to that area. Let's not doubt in our heart, but and in these actions, what are we doing? We're hanging in there. Oh yeah, seems like a flippant way to say it, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're hanging in there. We're standing firm. We're not being moved. Our belief system is intact. We are maturing every day. I've seen already how this belief system I have will bring me victory. I've watched it. I felt it. I know the taste of victory. I know the smell of victory. I know the energy of victory. I know the feelings of victory. It's like smelling a rain on a spring day before the rain ever comes. You know it's on the way, and you are confident the rain is going to come. And when you take your stand, on the promise of God and wrap your belief system around it, that's the time when you understand this is my faith and the confidence I have in God, and his faithfulness has stood with me time and time again. I have no reason to doubt his word. So I'm going to stand, take my stand, and that's where I'm going to be unmovable. Now, one person wrote these words and said, you will only change your belief system when your present belief system fails to produce outcomes you want. Maybe a true statement, but sometimes you need to alter your belief system. Maybe you're believing in the right thing, but you've not got yourself anchored to the right thing just yet. So again, these are not flippant, carefree, just drift by the breeze and float along and things just ultimately get better. It's like the common cold. They tell me the cure was 10 to 14 days of bed rest, drink plenty of liquids in mom's homemade chicken soup, and then you just get well. It's the cure for the cold. No, the cold runs its course. And so many times we want trials to run their course rather than us extracting something from this and looking at the challenge to our faith and saying, wait a minute, God is giving me this opportunity to show all the powers of darkness how I trust him, how I'll walk with him, how I can win this issue. I can stay in this process because he has something outstanding for me later on. David had to fight a giant, a lion, and a bear before he became king. They were sequential on down the road. The enemy got greater and more intense, but the outcomes became more rewarding. And he was faithful, 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 faithful. He even defied the giant, understanding that his faith in his God was going to bring him a victory, and told the giant exactly what was going to happen. This was before David was anointed king. Keep in mind, God brings you through some things to bring you to some things. Again, let's not try to just get out of every stretch of our faith. Sometimes we need to knuckle down and say, all right, my faith is going to win this. I'm not going to bail on it. I'm not going to give up on the outcome I want. I'm going to stand firm and stay with this. I'm going to trust the process God has me in. This may be something that's preparing me for something I don't see today, but I may see it tomorrow. If I'm faithful in this, if I'm faithful over a few things, God said he would make me ruler over many. So I have to move with this and move this way to affirm before powers of darkness, I am faithful to the task that God has given me. Now, I want to take a few minutes before we wrap this up this evening, and I want to give you 3 reasons to considering trials a great joy. Yeah, that's a stretch, isn't it? Yeah, preacher, you're going to convince me that a trial is great joy? Give it your best shot. Yeah. Here's the reason that they are great joy. One is because they produce endurance. Every Christian needs endurance. Why would you need endurance? Because he that shall endure to the end shall be saved, or shall be rescued, shall be delivered, shall be set free. So there is an enduring in this process that brings us to a completion of freedom. He that shall endure. Didn't say have patience, but you know, patience produces endurance, because trials are tests of our faith. Trials confirm our faith. Trials purify our faith in fire. We get all the residue that's not faith, the boasting, some of the pride, some of the things we thought would work that we just interject that seemed like a good idea. You want to pray a scary prayer? Kneel down one night and say, God, take everything out of my life you did not tell me to get involved in. Yeah, that's a bit scary. Sometimes God gives us an idea. I told one guy one time, I said, if God told you to build a doghouse, you'd build a Taj Mahal. You wouldn't settle for a doghouse. You'd keep making it better and bigger and better and bigger. And he said, you're right. But again, we can't improve on what God is doing because his ways are perfect. So the trials are tests of our faith. The trials confirm our faith. It purifies our faith. And trials grow our trust in God because we see his trustworthiness. When we see he is trustworthy, and his word and his character, when we lean on it over and over again, gives and brings reward, brings outcomes that we love and we need. So what are we doing? When we're enduring, we're hanging in there, but we're not desperately hanging in there. Hanging in there is no longer a desperation term, because we always precede hanging in there with the word just. I'm just hanging in there. How you doing? Yeah, just hanging in there. You know, yeah, just hanging in there. When could we turn that around, reframe it, instead of saying just hanging there? Thank God I'm hanging in there. I'm getting the outcome. I'm enduring. I'm moving forward. I'm not being moved off my belief in God. Nothing is shaking me with regard to my faith in God. My faith is still as firm, if not more firm, than it was the day I started trusting him. All right, first one was, you know that patience produces endurance, okay? Because endurance works maturity and completeness. That's another reason we rejoice in trials, because what this is producing is working to mature me and to complete me. When an athlete goes into the event for which he or she has trained, you can almost tell how fit they are by the way they look. And sometimes they may not look fit, but on the inside, they know they're fit. We've seen some athletes win, not because they were in the greatest shape, but because they had the heart, the belief. They had something intangible on the inside that when the body would not perform, that propelled them on to victory. It's hard to define every ingredient in victory. We all have our ways of getting through the difficult days, but make sure your way is that way that's wrapped around a promise from God that you're not moving from, that your patience says this is going to pay off in an outcome that I need if I just hold fast to it. I know it's tough today. I know I don't like today. I don't like the outcome of today. I don't like what I've gone through today. I don't like what I've seen today. But when you get to that place and understand this is producing maturity in me, if I deal with this and don't lose it over this, if I can deal with this, it's producing something in me called maturity and completeness, so that down the road, I will have resources on which I can draw and better do my God assignment. Yes. I can remember the nights I stayed up half, 3/4 of a night studying on certain subjects in the Bible, the courses I took in college, the things I've learned along the way, life experiences, things that kept me up at night, things that made me a nervous wreck sometimes, things that just challenged every fiber of my being, things I didn't understand why I had to face those things or go through those things. I look back on those now, and had I reframed them and understood God's got a plan that he's bringing you to get you to, you're going to have to go through, because you won't be prepared. You won't be mature enough to do what he's asking you to do unless you go through this to get to that. And then, of course, the message we've heard, I think the first time I heard it was Pastor Ruth Sharona. What got you here won't get you there. And she expounded that so profoundly and prophetically. It blessed my soul. And I've used it over and over again. What got us here won't get us there. There has to be another part of the process to be implemented here to get me there. Do we get tired in this? Yes. But what does the Bible say? Let's not grow weary in well-doing. Keep doing well, for in due season we will reap if we faint not. You've got to allow endurance to complete its work. One writer said we're under divine obligation. That's a pretty committed way to put it. Divine obligation. I am under divine obligation to allow endurance to complete its work in me. I've got to walk this thing to completion. I don't have to shorten it. I don't have to abort it. I don't have to say enough is enough. I walk it to completion. I'm under divine obligation to do that. Endurance works maturity and completeness. Try to get the full bent of the endurance and not just some. Don't cut it short. Maturity and completeness means you lack nothing. Not saying that you're perfected in the sense that, don't need it anymore. It means that your assignment will be completely fueled, funded, and all needs met by God, because there are spots along your journey you have endured. There are people that will watch this video who are authors, and the price that you pay in private time, no one will know the agony an author goes through in pulling a story together, especially if it's one that has research. I'm good friends with several authors, and I pick their brain about books they write. We've shared thoughts and ideas and things, but the aloneness and the frustration and the fact that time goes flying by while your head is down trying to pull together sentences and thoughts and bring organization, order, structure, and things to a story that will meet the need, the outcome that you believe God has in you to bring. Oh yeah, it's tough. It's tough to do that. But what about the construction company owner that goes through the perils of, well, COVID and other things that have challenged the very fiber of businesses that are in, well, let's say the food industry, the construction business, sales, things of that nature. Things are just shifting all around the world now. And we're working at home more. We're not going out as much. We're using delivery more. Things are speeding up. The world is shrinking. And we're still in issues where we're trying to adjust to stay afloat in an area of challenge or a day of challenge, and we don't understand why it's happening to us. Maybe God has something super nice just on the other side of this if we can endure through this and not be moved. Your business mind brought you to where you are. The mind of an author brought you to where you are. Will you improve? Absolutely. Will you get through this? Absolutely. God will have you at the right place at the right time. God will give you influence in areas that are strategic to your success. I'm blessed to be associated with theologians in my journey. I'm blessed to be associated with high-ranking officials. I'm blessed to be associated with brilliant motivational speakers. I'm associated with the creme de la creme of all that goes on in this world. In that sense, I can access those people and to understand that this is part of the process that God has brought us through to bring us to. It doesn't make me feel proud. It makes me feel blessed and humbled that I would be where I am. My mother and dad would just shake their heads at what God has done in my life. My dad used to take a loudspeaker and go driving down the street preaching Jesus on Saturday. That's how far back that went. But people loved him. People responded. I won't get into all this, but maturity and completeness means that God will fund and furnish our God assignment. All right, third one before we close. Because the value of maturity, and this one is really important, the value of maturity is greater than the value of the absence of the trial. I want to say that again. Maturity has a greater value than having no trial. Without the trial, we lose the maturity. And one of the reasons we can rejoice is because the trial produces maturity, and maturity is greater than not having the trial. It comes down to what you value. The joy of the trial is like the joy, yeah, you're going to love this one, the joy of getting your teeth filled or going into a surgery that's going to save your life. Does it hurt? Is it uncomfortable? Do you want to do it? No, 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 and really no. But will you do it for the outcome? Yes. Will you cut short the recovery? Probably not. Because you want what's on the other side of this. And that's what happens with the trials. They come our way, and sometimes they're like pulling teeth, filling teeth. Sometimes they're like a surgery to save a life. Sometimes they're like a bitter pill to swallow. Sometimes they are. But if we can get through those things, not abort those things, but get through those things with patience, it produces a character quality that we're going to call endurance that will secure our future better than anything we can ever get involved in right now. Bottom line, I have to wrap this up. Time's running away. Your trial right now that you're in is about God. It's about you and God. Yeah. Trial you're in right now is about you and God. I want to ask you 3 questions before I close. 1, what's the biggest difficulty and pressure you're facing in your life right now? Write it down somewhere. Biggest difficulty, the biggest pressure you're facing in your life right now. Write that one down. Second thing, have you determined to stay put, never giving up, never budging until the devil gives up on his attack to defeat you? Have you taken a stand that says, I'm not moving off the promise of God? That's different than I hope this gets better. We all hope it gets better. But are you drawing a line in the sand and say, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, what if it does? Let's just lean toward what if it does. If it doesn't, you're no worse off than you are now. If it does, you're a lot better off than you are now. If you don't do anything, it's not going to work. You're giving up. We don't give up. That's not patience. That's not endurance. Okay? Third thing, can you recall some difficulties in the past where you stood your ground and refused to give up until the victory came, and then find out how you did that? How did you do that? Maybe that's a key to your strategy to enduring every trial. Other people may have another key. They may have another way they go through, but you know your key because you've had some miracles before. Watch God do it again for you. He's done it once, he'll do it again. I've written a prayer down. I want to pray with you. I will read it. There's nothing wrong with reading a prayer. And I want you to just close your eyes and listen to the words, because right after this, we'll wrap this up and I'll tell you good night. Let us pray. Lord, help me stand my ground and defend what I've gained. No matter how difficult it might be to do this, I know that with your supernatural help, I can outlast the resistance. With your Spirit's power working inside me, I know I can indefinitely and defiantly stick it out until the enemy realizes he cannot beat me and decides to retreat, I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. God's faithful to us, folks. I've enjoyed my time with you tonight. I hope you've gotten something from the thoughts that I've shared. Maybe endurance is a little clearer. Maybe patience is a little clearer. Maybe you can connect some of the trials you've gone through to maybe it's not all devil. Maybe it's part of a process God's bringing me through to get me strong, mature, and ready for the next level, the next season of my assignment, because I'm not done yet. I don't care how old you are. You don't have to be finished yet. Trust him, love him, walk with him. He's going to give you the outcome you desire. All right. God bless you. Don't forget DLI. If you have not enrolled and would like to, go there to the website now. It's right on the side of the chat box here. You can take one click there and it'll take you to the Enroll Now page. If you want to peruse the website, please do that. Get your free gift. There's a free book there and you can download that. And look around the website. You'll find a list of the courses. We have them in 2 bundles of 5 courses in a bundle. There are 10 courses available and will be taught live over time at DLI. And here in the next few days or so, we're trying to get our instructors on a schedule where we can all be together on a Zoom call and do a Facebook Live with you so you can meet those that will be teaching and get to know them a little better and understand their heartbeat and what God has done for them and with them through their life of ministry and teaching. I'm so blessed to be part of this journey, and I'm so blessed to have this great company with me. Our Covenant Network, if you're a member of the Fivefold Ministry, would like to be part of our Covenant Network, please let us know. We'll make that possible for you. There's not a lot of rules to follow. We are a network of ministers and ministry people that are in covenant together, that we will support one another in the sense of prayer, believing in one another, and we'll believe that together we're stronger than we are apart. And we give you that opportunity. So God bless you. Get some rest tonight. Tomorrow, Angie and I'll be with you tomorrow night and look forward to that. It's going to be a fabulous time. And I'm going to have to say good night because time is running by me. Good night, folks. I love you. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night. God bless.